Welcome back, everyone. NicknLex here. Thank you so much for joining me today to this new episode. Today, this is absolutely genius. JK did it again. I don't know how, but he did it. He thought of something just unique. So today, we're going to do a marathon of very, very good artists playing Steely Dan. So it's called They Dared to Do the Dan. And it's honestly, for me, it's kind of like, yes, they literally had, the cojones to interpret Steely Dan. Now, don't get me wrong, there's an amazing amount of artists out there that might, even, I don't know, be better. I can't say. I really have to listen to it. Now, I consider myself a Steely Dan, like, I would say, fanatic, even though I haven't heard everything. I've heard, I think, the first 7 albums or something, but I'm still like, the last 2, I haven't really taken the deep dive, but we've done it all on the channel. And I mean, I was just obsessed with Steely Dan for pretty much a year. I didn't listen to anything else in like my private life. So I pretty much just know the songs in and out now. And so I can really now take the opportunity and compare the original versions with the covers, that we're going to do. So this is such a great idea. And yeah, I think it really takes a lot of talent and know-how and just to interpret Steely Dan. Now, I don't know. It could be that maybe these versions are gonna be superior or inferior, but with Steely Dan, it is difficult because it is such good music and it's already so highly produced and thought of, and it's just like you're not messing with some like rock band. It's Steely Dan, so that's why this is going to be amazing, and it's going to be a lot of fun to do. And for you guys, I want your input. I want your thoughts. That's what I want the most, of course. But I'm going to do the first step here. And so the title here that JK came up with is They Dared to Do the Dan. So it says, "Hi Nick, here are some major artists who were brave or foolish enough to cover songs by Steely Dan." Yeah, I would not. I mean, I've done some covers on some solos, but those are solos, and yeah, pretty okay. Like, I could do better, I just haven't taken the time to like perfect them. I'm still, trying to do Glamour Profession, that solo at the end by Steve Kahn. I know half, but I'm just like, I haven't had the time. But so yeah, so covering Steely Dan it's not easy, So it says here, so it says here, so foolish, brave or foolish enough to cover the songs by Steely Dan. You already know all these songs well. So what do you think of these different versions? This list begins and ends with Joe Jackson. And Joe Jackson I love Joe Jackson. He is amazing. Who has announced Steely Dan as a major influence. So that's a great example. Joe Jackson he is right up there, So we're going to start it off with Night by Night, who is, wow. I mean, Night by Night is one of my favorite tracks on that album. Showbiz Kids, by Rickie Lee Jones, sorry. Showbiz Kids, that's a song that I haven't really listened that much to, but of course I know it well enough. And only a fool would say that. I mean, that song, we had it on repeat in Spain. Do It Again, of course, very Santana. This is by Smash Mouth. That's going to be interesting. And then King of the World by Joe Jackson. This is a live version. I think I put it here. I think this is like a medley. So this is going to be so freaking good. So grab a drink. I got a drink. I even got a Coke for this. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. Thank you so much, JK, for for really, thinking of outside the box for these marathons, and for all the support, all you guys. I mean every single one of you who requests these marathons. And I know, I love that they're back, honestly. I really miss them, and I kind of like tried to find my way, and it was just like not the same. Marathons are where it's at for me. It's such a good experience. I learned so much, and it's such a great time. So here we go. So again, just the list real quick before we start. All you Dan maniacs out there, I love you. Thank you for tuning in. And so we're going to do Night by Night by Joe Jackson, which is Night by Night, the album. Very smartly here, from 2019. Then Biz Kids by Rickie Lee Jones from the album It's Like This from 2000. Only a Fool Would Say That by Ivy from the album Guest Room 2000. Do It Again by Smash Mouth from the album All Star Smash Hits 2005. And then King of the World by Joe Jackson. This is from, let me see, I got it from, it says here, Summer in the City. This is a live album from 2000. And it says here, Walter Becker, Donald Fagen. I mean, the writer credits. I don't know if Walter Becker, Donald Fagen is on this. We'll find out. But without further ado, let's get into it. Again, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I know the intro is very long, but now YouTube does a thing where like you can literally skip the intro and just play reaction. So it doesn't really matter how long I talk anymore, but I do like to talk, especially when it's about Steely Dan. It's a big deal. I should have worn my Steely Dan t-shirt. You know what? I'm gonna do that as well. Give me a sec. All right, here we are. So I'm ready to go. So again, thanks for being here, everyone. If you saw this video and you clicked on it, please give it a like if it's good, of course, if it's good enough, and subscribe to the channel. You can see all of our Steely Dan journey. You can see our Rush journey, our Yes journey. We're not done. I mean, Kansas, Supertramp. We're just like scratching the surface on a lot of these bands, but Steely Dan, we're almost done. But it's always, the cool thing about Steely Dan is like there's an unlimited amount of replayability. It's always new. Every track, there's tracks that I've listened to 30, 50 times, and they're still brand new every time that I listen to them. So this is going to be super interesting. Here we go with Joe Jackson, Night by Night. Let's go.
Said the Queen of Spain, but don't tell it to the poor man, 'cause he's got to kill for every thrill the best he can. Everywhere around me I see jealousy and mayhem, because no men have all their peace of mind to carry theirs.
Yes.
Well, I don't really care if it's wrong or if it's right, but until my ship comes in, I'll live night by night.
A little bit slower.
When the Joker tried to tell me I could cut it in this rude town, when he tried to hang that sign on me, I said take it down. Dawn Patrol got to tell you twice, they're gonna do it with a shotgun. Yes, I'm cashing in this 10-cent life for another one. Well, I ain't got the heart to lose another fight, so until my ship comes in, I'll live night by night.
I miss that sax. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be completely honest. Man, it's really difficult. And someone like, I mean, Joe Jackson, he's a legend, you know. But it was a good cover, but the speed was obviously different, you know. And he made it, I think, at that moment, Steely Dan wasn't as jazzy, you know. I mean, and I missed that, you know. I think, I don't know if it's I think it's a sax. Oh, if it's a trumpet, I'm losing my mind. But that whole like tension, that makes it almost like into like this TV theme that we never had, you know, from this like thriller, like kind of like Shaft. I don't know. There's something about Donald's voice in that, on that track, that is super snappy. I love that. You know, and here like Joe takes it in a different, he makes it a little bit more jazzy. He makes it sound more like Asia or Gaucho as Steely Dan. You know, he takes this fusion rock, this early Steely Dan, and kind of like gives it more like the Gaucho Asia treatment, and that was kind of like throwing me off a little bit. It's a very good cover. The solo was a little bit all over the place. It was not as structured as the Steely Dan solo. That guitar solo is just perfect. I would have played it exactly the same in the same time signature, but they were already starting in a different tempo, so it's kind of like hard. But I love also the piano here. I think it's a great version, but it just can't compete with the original. If there's a version that's better than the original, I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm not gonna be fanboying. I'm gonna be honest and say this is better, you know. So, but yeah, Joe Jackson, he did an amazing job, but it's just like, it's just not there. It doesn't have that, you know, that juice that I get. I literally get a rush when I listen to the original Night by Night. And that I even said, somebody asked me, what is your 5 favorite Steely Dan songs? That's already an impossible feat, because every Steely Dan song is my favorite Steely Dan song. But I mean, if I really have to go to a desert island, I only have 5, and I named this in the top 5. So this song is just, I've heard this song so many times. So it was just like, I guess it's just the shock of it being different, you know, but I don't want to be unfair to Joe Jackson. The voice, obviously, he's not Donald Fagen. Donald Fagen doesn't have the best singing voice, but it is something that is part of Steely Dan that you are so used to. It's like when you listen to Rush, Geddy Lee doesn't have like the best singing voice, but he has to be. It has to be him. Otherwise, it's not Rush. So that's how I feel with Steely Dan. Even when we listen to the last tune, or the last reaction, where Walter is singing, it is kind of, it throws you off. So, but he did his best, you know, to give it that sass. There's something about, you know, Donald Fagen and the way he pronounces certain words, the way he times the phrasing of the vocals, and just the chords. I heard some really cool chords here that were a little bit even more out there, you know, than the chords in the original Night by Night. But because he was jazzing it up even more, you know, he was adding a couple of notes there to the chords that were not in the original, making it a little bit more, you know, I guess open, and I don't know. So, but again, very cool version. But again, I have to go with the original, this one. We're going to be very honest. Please let me know what you thought. And I'm sure most of the Steely Dan maniacs are going to be obviously on my side, but this is not a competition. This doesn't take anything away from the original artist. I think Joe Jackson is a freaking genius. But, you know, Steely Dan is just Steely Dan. It's like somebody trying to sing like Michael Jackson. It just is very, very difficult, you know. And I've heard this with other covers. There's some bands who are just incredible, and they kind of make it their own, and sometimes even make it better than the original. But that only occurs sometimes. So let's go with the next song. This is Showbiz Kids, Rickie Lee Jones. We've been really doing some cool reactions. Let's check out Showbiz Kids. Let's go.
Closing time at the country fair, I detect the El Supremo in the room at the top of the stairs. Well, I've been around the world, and I've been in Washington too. And in all my travel, as the facts unravel, I found this to be true. While the poor people sleeping with the shade on the light, poor people sleeping on the stars come out at night. Poor people sleeping with the shade on the light, while the poor people sleeping on the stars come out at night. Corner with the rolls inside. They've got the booze they need, all that money can buy. They've got shapely bodies, they've got steely dan t-shirts, and for the coupe in the crowd, outrageous, so honey, let me tell you why the poor people sleeping with the shade on the light. Poor people sleeping on the stars come out at night. Poor people sleeping with the shade on the light. Poor people sleeping on the stars come out at night. Las Vegas, Las Vegas, Las Vegas. About anybody else. Show business kids making movies on themselves. You know they don't give a fuck about anybody else. Show business kids making movies on themselves. You know they don't give a fuck about anybody else. Las Vegas, Las Vegas, you know that Las Vegas. Las Vegas, you know that Las Vegas. Why the poor people sleeping with the shade on the light? Poor people sleeping on the stars come out at night. Why the poor people sleeping with the shade on the light? Poor people sleeping on the stars come out at night. Las Vegas, Las Vegas. Las Vegas, Las Vegas, Las Vegas, Las Vegas. Yeah, yeah, Las Vegas, yeah, yeah, yeah. Las Vegas, Las Vegas, Las Vegas.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. She made it her own. Now this is from Countdown, of course, the second album. So they still had, it was still like more rock, you know, fusion. It wasn't as jazzy. So she made it her own. It's a repetitive song. I love the bass here. I love the bass. I love all the instrumentation, but her voice really sold it for me. I love Rickie Lee Jones, like nasally. She sings like she has a cold. That's just the way she sounds. I really like that. I think Alex and we mentioned that she kind of sounds like she's congested or something, but that's just her voice, and that's just very special. The song, you know, I mean, sounded pretty close to the original. You know, it's a simpler time for a Steely Dan. I mean, Countdown to Ecstasy. Let's take a look here. And from Night by Night, let's see. Yeah, the Boston Rag, Your Gold Teeth, one of my favorites on the album. And also, so Biz Kids, my old school, very, very popular. And then King of the World, the last one, which we're going to do. I think this was a great cover, man. She just has this really beautiful voice, the bass, and just like, I don't know, like, I don't know, was that some cowbell? I think this was a great version. Now, do I like it more than the original? I don't know. It's, you know, it's just so hard to say. I think I don't think I can ever say that I liked something, a cover more than the original. It was very good. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than Night by Night from Pretzel Logic. It's because, I mean, that album is just like, it's such a jump ahead, you know. I mean, we got Night by Night, Any Major Dude, which we'll listen to right now. Charlie Freak is a friggin' masterpiece. Barrytown, Rickie, Don't Lose That Number. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, everything on this album is just masterful, you know. And I love almost like you kept it within the first 3 albums, because the next one is from let's see, also Pretzel Logic. Any major dude will tell you. No, only a fool would say that. That's from Can't Buy a Thrill. Let's see. Yeah, only a fool would say that. Do It Again. Also, so we're basically just doing the first 3 albums here. So I see a number 2 on the horizons. Maybe if this does well. I'm sure it's gonna do well. I mean, everybody loves Steely Dan. Yeah, I mean, also here, Do It Again, Dirty Work. Do It Again, we just did today, Abraxas. Oh my god, what an album. We couldn't believe it, how good it was. Dirty Work, Midnight Cruiser, Only a Fool Would Say That, Reeling in the Years, very popular song. With, like, even the people that don't listen to Steely Dan like that song. But yeah, let's give it up here for Only a Fool Would Say That. That's another song that had very, very, very specific length, and there's just everything. Like 2 minutes and 57 seconds. They have the intro. They have amazing chorus, a solo. It's like, and here it's like double the length. It's a little bit, oh no, it's not as, I had the wrong one highlighted. It's only 3 minutes. So it's a short one. Let's see what Ivy does here. Let's go.
Man wearing a white Stetson. it was you. Talking about a world where all is free. It just couldn't be. And only a fool would say that. The man in the street, dragging his feet, don't want to hear the bad news. Imagine your face, there in his place, standing inside his brand shoes. You do his 9 to 5, drag yourself home half alive, and there on the screen, a man with a dream. I heard it was you. Talking about a world where all is free. It just couldn't be, and only a fool would say that. Anybody on the street has murder in his eyes. You feel no pain, and you're younger than you realize.
What a bridge.
Only a fool would say that. Only a fool. I heard it was you. Talking about a world where all is free. It just couldn't be, and only a fool would say that. Only a fool would say that. Only a fool would say that.
Solo un tonto diría eso. This was good. The solo, obviously, they took the liberty to change it up. I think these lyrics they hit me so hard. I got a little emotional there, and I know they're kind of like, this was directed towards John Lennon, and it's just a tragedy, what happened. But it's such a good song, and I think they kept it really close to the original. I loved her voice. I didn't know Ivy at all. I think she did an amazing job. The chords are the same, the tempo. I did miss that doodle-doodle-ding, the solo, but other than that, beautiful version. I mean, I definitely would listen to this again. This is like a perfect song. It is really perfect, perfectly structured. The way when he goes down, it says, anybody on the street? Like, just the chord changes there are so effective in such a short song that it just like, I was getting like goosebumps. You feel no pain, like it's just perfection. Like Donald Fagen and Walter Becker are ridiculous. This was great. I do have to, when something is good, you have to really, you have to give credit where it's due. This was a beautiful version, beautiful, interpreted. She kept it, very close to the original, which is, I guess the safe thing to do when you play Steely Dan. But I mean, if you're a jazz virtuoso, yes, go out, do what you do best, which is improvise and add, which is, there's no shame in doing that, But it's just also these songs are so, I guess, they get so close to us that we want them to sound like sometimes. When we've done some Steely Dan live, and when they kind of like steer away from the album versions, then we're like, even if it's the original band, I think we heard, I don't know if it was Asia, and like the solos was a little bit more he was having fun, you know. He doesn't want to play the same damn solo every night, so he's kind of like going, you know, on a different like approach there. And at first you're like, wow, he's not playing the solo the way it is, but we're not listening to rock, you know, we're listening to jazz fusion. So these players obviously know their way around these chords and they want to just have fun, you know. So I get it, you know. But again, it's like there's like these epic songs and you have to play the solo almost verbatim, you know, which is kind of like a bummer. Otherwise it just feels out of place, you know. But hey, this was amazing. It was a great version. I mean, it was so good that it got, you know, I got teary eyed. So, but I mean, this would happen if I would be listening to Steely Dan right now. Actually, I told Alexa, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we could just do these songs all over again on YouTube? And she was like, yeah, because I mean, now we actually know what the hell's going on. We were listening to Steely Dan. We were pretty much blind. You know, we had no idea what was going on. We understood all that music by listening to off camera. I remember, like on each drive I would take, like I would listen to Steely Dan, only Steely Dan, you know. So, so yeah, these songs like have a huge value now, and for you guys, I mean, you've been listening to them for 40 years or longer, you know. So all right, so this one, I'm really Smash Mouth. I'm going to be very, very curious what's going to happen here, because Smash Mouth, I only know one song, and it's because I saw Shrek. The Hey Now, You're an All-Star, da 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 da, you know that. So I know they use distortion, they're heavy, so they're gonna do it again, and that is more like a Santana, you know, song for me, you know. And we just listened to Santana today, Abraxas, and we were like, oh my god, I'm sure he influenced Steely Dan, you know, a little bit, at least a little bit, you know, that, you know, that Latin fusion. This came out 2 years after Abraxas, so I'm not saying, but I'm sure he did. You know, he influenced a lot, you know, a lot of bands. And so let's check out Smash Mouth, Do It Again. Let's see. I hope it's not all jin 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 jin. Very nice use of the Hammond, of course.
In the morning you go gunning for the man who stole your water. Then you fire till he's done it, but they catch you at the border. And the mourners are all singing as they drag you by your feet. But the hangman isn't hanging, and they put you on the street. You go back, Jack, do it again. We've done it round and round. You go back, Jack, do it again.
When you know you're no high climber, and you find out you're only friend in a room with a two-timer, and you're sure you're near the end, and you love a little wild one. You bring to a smile and a sour one. All the time that you know you're smiling, you be on your knees tomorrow crying.
Now you swear and kick and beg us that you're not a gambling
money, so you hide them when you're able. In the land of milk and honey, you must put them on the table. You go back, Jack, do it again. Wheels turning round and round. You go back, Jack, do it again.
Okay, so this is obviously hard to say because I know that Steve Harwell passed away just 2 years ago or less, and it was obviously very tragic. Such a young man, you know, and he has that voice, he has that, you know, he's perfect for his band, Smash Mouth, and but yeah. It was obviously a little bit. I'm so used to Donald Fagen singing that one because he's also really going. Da 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 da. You know, he really like sings in that one. Where sometimes, you know, Donald just like half kind of things, you know, depends on his mood, I guess. I don't know. And here this was where this sounded a little bit more spoken. It sounded like Smash Mouth, like completely. And I appreciate that they say Steely Dan. I mean, they're amazing. Let's try and cover them. But and I appreciate also the piano, the keyboard solo, which obviously I'm in love with the one that Donald Fagen plays. I think it was a good version, but it's not something I would return to, I think, you know. I really appreciate that they did this, but it just doesn't hold, like, you know, it's just like, it's not there, you know. Like, because the original version is almost like listening to, like, Latin jazz, like Latin, and then maybe not jazz, Latin fusion, you know, Chicano, like very, very Santana, very, very Santana. And that, but I think this was a nice try. This was a good, I think if I wasn't such a fanboy, you know, I would totally like this, but it's maybe, I don't know if I would return to this. I think that the music they play is, the style they usually play is great. And Steve is perfect for that style. But hey, you know, I mean, I will respect anyone who covers Steely Dan. That's honestly, you know, anyone who tries and interprets Steely Dan has my respect. So there you go. It's just like not something that I would, you know, listen to. If it comes on, I would leave it on. Yes, but maybe I would not, you know, look for it. You know, I would look for the original. But it is what it is. It's very difficult. You know, I've done this with other bands. With my bands, you know, there's an amazing album out right now of this specific person, amazing guitar player who did a tribute to Alan Holdsworth, and I tried, you know, and it's very good. I mean, this guy is just like on a different level, but I'd rather listen to the original. You know, I love the chord progressions, and it's a little bit different here and there. But when it comes to the improvisation, that's where Holdsworth shines. I rather switch back to my old pal. You know, like I love everybody that watches the channel knows that I'm obsessed with this man, and so I've done some, you know, I've heard some covers of Yngwie Malmsteen, and it's just like not the same. You know, I've heard some covers of Rainbow, and I've heard covers of Iron Maiden or Metallica, and it's just like, I think you're always going to go to the original source, but I think this was pretty good, you know, for a band that doesn't play this style of music, you know? Okay, so we're going to go back to Yeah, to Joe Jackson. This is live. And this is a part of a medley, King of the World. So I love that you kept it in these 3 albums, JK. This is a wonderful idea. I don't know if this is on purpose, because then we're going to hear like maybe some, I don't know, some Babylon Sisters, you know, or something from Royal Scan. I don't know. I'm sure there's more covers out there. So I know JK. I know JK. But yeah. So let's go back to Joe Jackson. This is King of the World. Let's check it out. Live setting. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna pull up the album Summer in the City.
Hello, one and all. Was it you I used to know? Can you hear me call? On this old ham radio, all I've got to say is I'm alive and feeling fine. Should you come my way, you can share my poison wine. No merry-go to the promised land. There's a hole in the ground where they used to grow. Anybody left on the Rio Grande is the king of the world as far as I know. I won't take your bread. I don't need no helping hand. I can't be no savage. I can't be no highwayman. Show me where you are. You and I could spend this day driving in my car through the ruins of Santa Fe. No merry-go to the promised land. There's a hole in the ground where they used to grow. Anybody left on the Rio Grande is the king of the world as far as I know. I'm reading last year's papers, although I don't know why. Assassins, cons, and rapers might as well die. When you come around, no more pain and no regrets. Watch the sun go brown, smoking cobalt cigarettes. There's no need to hide, taking things the easy way. If I stay inside, I might live till Saturday. No merry-go to the promised land. There's a hole in the ground where they used to grow. Anybody left on the Rio Grande is the king of the world as far as I know.
Oh, man. Okay. I mean, this was a very good version, because, I mean, Countdown to Ecstasy, it has some jazz. It had obviously the jazz injection already, but not as much as this. This was, you know, it just like, it has like a little bit more, because Joe is already at that level. He's just like adding the sprinkles of that jazz, and it works. It really works. I really like this version. Not again, not as much as the original, because I think it's impossible, you know. But this was very good. I love the bass here, the piano, that boom 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 boom. And yeah, I mean, he kept the speed was pretty much of the original, but it's so hard, you know. It's so hard to compare a cover with a Steely Dan original, you know. It's impossible. It's almost like, you know, it should not even be allowed, you know. Obviously, but I do have to give it to Joe here. This was very good. And this was in the middle of a concert where he was doing covers sort of like John Lennon, Eleanor Rigby, you know, Duke Ellington, I mean, Mark Sebastian, Steve Boone, just like good stuff, you know. I don't know. I would have to like listen to this whole thing. That would be interesting. But very cool, like a trio here. We have Joe Jackson on vocals and piano. We have Graham Maybe on bass and vocals and drums. And I think he did a great impression of the piano and the singing, you know, in the live setting. Very difficult, of course. So I think this is very, very good cover. So to go back, I think my favorite, I think I would have to go with Rickie Lee Jones. She did an amazing job because she made it her own. And I think Ivy was spot on, like the original. But I do have to give it up for Joe Jackson for being, you know, a professional, a jazz musician who is playing with, you know, with the composition, and, you know, adds to it, you know, in a way where it's not like off-putting. And also, I mean, Smash Mouth, that was a little bit bizarre because it's not their style, but hey, kudos to them for doing something as difficult as Steely Dan, you know. So man, this was just a great idea. I think so we did the full album, and we're gonna post it. It's already posted. I'm sure you guys a lot of you guys on Patreon saw it, but we're gonna release it on YouTube. But it's Alexia and myself. But I think it would be fun to add a song here to this marathon. Now, this is not Steely Dan, but this is a clearly dedicated track. In the vein, I'm talking about Billy Joel as Zanzibar, and I think when he wrote Zanzibar, he clearly had like a Steely Dan kind of like vision to it. So I think we should do Zanzibar just to close the marathon. And there's already a reaction out there, so this is not my first time. I reacted to it the first time on the Patreon, and we're gonna, I think tomorrow or a day after, we're gonna post this. So you just look for it, because when you watch this, I'm sure it's already gonna be. But we would just like, the first thing Alexa said, Steely Dan, like she hit literally the nail on the head, because it sounded just like the chord progressions and the way Billy Joel, you know, just pronounces the words very Donald Fagen, and just the whole thing. So I'm gonna do this just, you know, to give it a little bit of a kick here. I'm already in the Steely Dan mode, so let's do some Billy Joel to finish off this marathon, which it couldn't get more Steely Dan than this on this album. I know there's a good stuff. There's some good tracks on here, Big Shot and Honesty and Stiletto, everything, My Life. I mean, everything on this album is just gold. But Zanzibar for us just stood out because it was so close, to steal that. So here we go with Zanzibar in 1978. I'm sure he got a little chuckle, like when Walter and Donald heard this, they were like, yeah, that's pretty much us right there. But here we go, Zanzibar by Billy Joel.
Applause. Though he's bathed in sweat, he hasn't lost his style. Ali, don't you go downtown. You gave away another round for free. Oh, me, I'm just another face at Zanzibar. But the waitress always serves a secret smile. Curtains down for me, for me. I got the old man's car, I got a jazz guitar, I got a tab at Zanzibar. Tonight is where I'll be. He knows he's such a credit to the game, but the Yankees grab the headlines every time. Melodrama's so much fun, in black and white for everyone to see. Whoa, me, I'm trying just to get to second base, and I'd steal it if she only gave the sign. Whoa, she's gonna give the go-ahead. The inning isn't over yet for me. For me, I got the old man's car, I got a jazz guitar, I got a tab at Zanzibar. Tonight
So good. This song is just just the display of Billy Joel, and everything I've ever heard of this man has been either I've been in awe or heartbroken or crying, literally, because there's some songs that really have hit home. Amazing. Like, just this musician is on a different level, you know, so he can pull off this stuff. And I mean, I'm sure he had heard, you know, the Royal Scam in Asia at the time of this release, and he was obviously, it's like, man, this band, you know. And I think I think it was on the Wikipedia page, it's clearly like dedicated to Walter and Donald, you know. I mean, that breakdown of those chords before the first trumpet solo is just like a sublime. It's like a sublime. You can hear, you know, the language this man speaks on his instrument, you know, it's just amazing. So I think this was a great way to close this marathon. And I wanted to make a second reaction to this song. But you will see the reaction. Alexa, she was just blown away. You're going to get a kick out of that. How she responds. She has learned so much about music because of the channel. And it's surprising, even to like, she surprises me so much because she just catches everything. And I played music to her that I played her 10 years ago, which she totally ignored. And she was listening to it, but she didn't really like understand what was happening. She was just like, it would just like go in and go out, and it wouldn't stay in. Now when I play her stuff, it stays. And she's like, wow, you know, it's like she's a totally different person thanks to this channel. So I also thank you for that, everyone who watches and supports us. And this is just a magical experience. Thank you so much. And this was a great idea. Thank you so much, Rickie. I really appreciate it. And everyone that's watching, I hope you enjoyed. And now let's just get through the whole process of it not getting blocked. But although I've kind of like, you know, I've gotten a little bit more smarter about the whole thing. And it looks like YouTube also kind of pulled back on their strictness. It's more with videos now. So I think there's not going to be any problems, but this was wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody who took the time to sit through this. I know it's almost an hour, and time is, you know, very valuable, but I hope this was entertaining and, you know, fun to watch. I mean, it was certainly for me, amazing experience always. Like every time I learn, and, you know, usually after each marathon, I sit down for like 10, 15, 20 minutes and go through a couple of things I heard, a couple of scales or chords that I might, you know, be useful in the future and stuff like that. So it's like a learning experience every time, especially like Billy Joel here, like just like was killer. Not to take credit away from any of these other artists that were just fantastic. And, you know, so, but yeah, I just thought it was a great idea to add him because he's also kind to like, you know, pulling the Dan here. So I think it was the right moment to do it. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.